Disney's Snow White remake has become the company's worst nightmare. The film has reached a humiliating new low, sealing its place as the worst-rated Disney release of the decade.
One who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, people will wait in line to.
Following the Snow White incident, Rachel Zegler is formally avoiding the media. She allegedly even relocated to New York City in order to avoid the public attention following the huge failure. Supporters saw Rachel riding a local train in New York. And to be honest, nobody could have predicted how rapidly her circumstances had deteriorated. Disney's Snow White had such poor attendance that images of empty theaters went viral on social media. Many theaters pulled the movie early to make room for more popular pictures, and by the fourth weekend, it had lost over half of its initial showings.
Keep talking about Snow White, because Disney's Snow White remake, the box office has suffered a 66% drop in the second weekend of showing. So the film's flop could end up costing Disney millions of dollars. We know that the movie is currently one of the lowest IMDb rated movies of all time, receiving a 1.6 out of 10 rating. It's generated $143 million globally to date, which is well short of the $250 million that Disney has spent producing the film, and that doesn't even include the marketing expenses.
It becomes much more embarrassing. A fan shared a TikTok video demonstrating that she was the only person seeing Snow White in the theater. After a few minutes, she realized she had the place all to herself. Snow White had been removed from 1-200 locations by the middle of October 2025. On the first weekend of its release, the number of theaters showing the film fell from about 3,150 to barely 2,540. It's a whole collapse, not just a slight drop. Snow White screenings were being canceled at an unprecedented rate, according to box office trackers like Forbes. Why? Since no one was purchasing tickets. According to reports, some screenings sold as few as 3 tickets overall, with daily averages falling to about $53 by the end of April. With newer hits like Captain America, Brave New World, and Minecraft, the movie drawing large audiences, theater owners could no longer defend putting it on the schedule. To put this into context, Minecraft fans were literally bringing live chickens into theaters to rejoice while Rachel's Snow White performed to empty seats. Nor was it limited to America. Videos of absolutely empty IMAX screenings of Snow White have surfaced in China.
I went to check it out myself yesterday here in Shanghai. Now, including myself and my friend, the entire IMAX cinema had just 5 audience members. And that is despite Disney going all out in their promotion of the film here in China. There was even a poster in the elevator at my apartment complex.
When Rachel Zegler came up in person at one of these almost deserted theaters, her TikTok of herself sitting by herself went viral, further embarrassing her. It's obvious now that Rachel's Hollywood career is in grave jeopardy. Insiders claim that because of her political remarks during the Snow White press tour, she has become a high-risk name that most corporations don't want to work with, and major studios have already begun to reevaluate her for next projects. In addition to ruining a single film, Rachel's emotional outbursts, domineering conduct throughout production, and incessant political statements may be the reason why Disney has decided to forego any further woke remakes. Unbelievably, Disney has suffered considerably more financial harm than you may have imagined. Disney's Snow White is more than just a poor film. Officially, it is now referred to as Hollywood's biggest failure.
It's a lighter news now, and a news that will surprise, well, none of us. Disney's live-action remake of Snow White is officially one of the biggest flops in Hollywood history.
The harsh financial figures are revealed in a recent Outkick study. Disney insiders initially anticipated that the loss would remain at about $115 million. But because Snow White's final worldwide income only came to about $195 million, the losses are now anticipated to be closer to $145 million. Furthermore, it may be the final straw for Disney's overall goal of promoting woke live-action remakes. In a recent interview, Disney CEO Bob Iger was questioned about the studio's reputation of being too progressive.
I love what you said about wanting to entertain audiences. Critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means, and one could argue that sometimes it's used too liberally. That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
However, words are not as powerful as deeds. Disney has discreetly halted the development of its upcoming live-action version, Tangled, because of Snow White's failure. It was intended to be Disney's most costly live-action remake to date. According to insiders, Tangled's budget was expected to surpass even Snow White's. However, following the dismal box office performance of Snow White and the constant public outcry, Disney made the decision to abruptly halt the development of Tangled. And it didn't help that Rachel Zegler was involved. Disney execs reportedly began to worry about Rachel's public image even before Snow White's demise. Major production companies began completely reevaluating Rachel's future projects after the movie's failure. One actress and one subpar film are no longer the only factors contributing to the Snow White catastrophe. It concerns the demise of a whole billion-dollar plan on which Disney had staked their future. The worst news for Disney is that additional repercussions are on the horizon. And in the center of it all lies Rachel Zegler's reputation. In addition to ruining Rachel Zegler's career possibilities, the Snow White incident caused a huge rift among her co-stars. After being viciously harassed online for her political remarks and the woke Snow White fiasco, Rachel is apparently in full breakdown mode. According to insiders, she may even be going to therapy right now to deal with the criticism. Her co-stars are also separating themselves in the meantime. Gal Gadot, who portrayed Snow White's evil queen, recently spoke up about the matter. Gal claimed that the Snow White project failed due to a lack of coordination behind the scenes. But she did not specifically name Rachel.
Disney executives were pressuring Gal to defend the Disney agenda and the message behind the film. Gal refused, since she knows her career is at stake. There was one confrontation between both Gal and Rachel, where Gal recently told Zegler herself that she was the sole individual that tanked the entire film at the box office.
Additionally, according to insiders, Disney allegedly requested Gal Gadot to publicly defend Rachel and assist in repairing the film's reputation, but Gal declined. Gal is clearly furious that Rachel's political comments ruined the entire project and damaged everyone's reputation, as are many of the other participants. And it gets worse. There was more to Rachel's domineering behavior than just fan theories. Even when it was being filmed, it was evident. Behind-the-scenes rumors claim that Rachel attempted to control choices, particularly over the portrayal of Snow White. She publicly stated during a press tour that she had no idea what all of Andrew's scenes would become.
You told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Her co-star Andrew Burnap put a lot of effort into his role, so that is really disrespectful. In interviews, Rachel even referred to the Snow White prince as a stalker, completely insulting the timeless romance that made the first film so cherished for years. Rather, Rachel envisioned Snow White as a strong, independent lady devoid of romance and a prince, a radical break from the fairy tale that served as the foundation for the Disney brand. Rachel Zegler did more than simply sabotage one film. She also enraged fans worldwide, polarized Disney executives, and alienated her co-stars. She burnt all the bridges surrounding her and betrayed the entire Snow White cast. And there may not be any return at this rate. The Snow White catastrophe starring Rachel Zegler has now progressed well beyond a mere box office failure. It has developed into a full-fledged Hollywood warning. Her own co-stars, including Gal Gadot, have refused to publicly support her. Disney has apparently canceled future live-action projects, and 1,210 theaters have dropped her film. The collapse is over. In addition to harming a single film, Rachel's woke interviews, domineering behind-the-scenes behavior, and constant political remarks ruined a whole plan Disney was relying on. Now that major studios are beginning to back off, even Rachel's future in Hollywood becomes questionable. I want to hear from you now, though. After all of this, do you still believe Rachel Zegler has a chance to salvage her career? Was Rachel's attitude the last nail in the coffin, or was Disney's demise more the result of poor business decisions? And should Disney completely cease producing these live-action reimaginings? Leave a comment below with your opinions. Everything is being read, and the best ones will be highlighted in the upcoming video. Thank you for viewing. I'll see you later.